UKNSU's always been quite apolitical, and last year was the biggest political turnout that we saw about anything. And you know, my personal feelings about this national demo aside, I know I didn't want to go charging into anything without talking to students about it first. But I would argue, in my personal opinion, and I suppose I was elected because of my personal opinion, so this is my presidential opinion as well. What we've witnessed in the past few months is a drip, drip, drip of tiny little bits of bad news about higher education. So whereas last time it was a massive, big piece of bad news, this time it's tiny little bits of bad news. For example, the university's minister saying that all universities will be able to recruit unrestrained numbers of students with A-level to AAB, when I know, having done my research, that overwhelmingly the kind of students who get AABs go to private schools, and there's no space for contextual data for students who are disadvantaged or go to disadvantaged state schools. Tiny little bits of bad news that don't grab headlines like fees did, but put together, it's reason to get annoyed, it's reason to get angry.
Well, I chair with loads of students as well, and we came out and supported it at our society meeting last night. We think that the demo is a good idea. However, from what I've heard tonight with the people that are organising this demo, I have reservations personally, not as a society, but I'm sure the society, if we went back and spoke to them about safety of students, the organisation, the organisational skills of the organisers, whether it's, because I don't think, from what I've heard and from what I know of the organisation that's running it, that the demo will be anywhere near as organised, successful, safe as it was in 2010. But I don't think it's possible to be with the organisation being such a reduced number to that of NUS. And my worry is that something is going to happen, something would go wrong. And if there was another Millbank, hopefully there won't be, but if there was, would the organisers of this demo have the capacity to deal with it and stop it from getting out of control like NUS did?
We do send students, or as an organisation, to ensure that student safety is first. So we contingency plans, if it was to happen, I think the SU would make sure that we obviously procedures to go by make sure it's safety. I do
yeah,
agree.
But if you're in the middle of a crowd on the Mall, organisational skills kind of go out the window because you're in the middle of a crowd on the Mall with thousands of people around you. Whatever organisational backup plans you've got wouldn't have worked. We were lucky to be at the back and be able to take we were right at the back of the demo and we were able to take a street off. But if we got there and we were in the middle of it and that's where we were, then there's very little that we could do, is all I'm saying. Sorry.
I completely understand what you're saying, and I think that's people who want to go down and do go down with us. If we decide that we will, that'll be a risk they're taking on their part, and they must realise that if we go down, there's going to be potentially up to 50,000 people there, and they're going to lose someone. They need to have the kind of common sense and knowledge to bring someone, not to walk off on their own or get caught up in some like kind of somewhere they shouldn't be, or the wrong place at the wrong time. Here it's trying to stick together. Do you not think that rather than going down to London and spending all that money, it would be better to rally Parliament, well not Parliament, but rally kind of Preston Council and
Do something local.
do something
Well,
locally?
we did that last year as well. We rallied with Gordon Birtwhistle and Mark Hendry. We sent loads of letters towards them to try and ask them to vote against the increase.
Mark Hendricks did, just throw that out there.
What's that?
Mark Hendricks did vote against the rising fee.
We did, yeah. I would say that when we organised locally last year, there wasn't a good turnout because, to put it bluntly, going to London's more exciting than going to stand outside Harris Museum.
Yeah. Yeah, I think whenever there's been stuff done locally, although in the past when we've gone to the square and that people have come, it's not as it's not going to be on the BBC. Like, I think there is that kind of, not glamorisation, but people feel like they're doing the real thing and they're actually doing something. If you go to London where the MPs actually are, rather than in Preston where it's like your locals, I don't know.
I believe that the issue that we're all talking about, and the issue of the fees and the cuts and everything else, is the biggest issue that we've got in our time. It's the most important issue that's going to affect any of us. Some of you may have heard this speech before, but I think it's something that we need to keep the pressure up on. If we don't get involved and be part of any stand against what we disagree with, then we've got no voice, and we have to have that voice. It's about the small group of people changing the world, and we can reverse this. We can bring this down. We can put pressure on both the incumbent government and the opposition to do the right thing and make education free for all.
So I suppose we can take this to a vote now. A simple raising of hands. And I'm going to say that sabbatical officers can vote in this as well, because we're all members of the union. And Hannah can vote, and PSTV can vote if they want. So all those in favour of partaking in another national demonstration, please raise your hands.
Okay, I think that's all right.
Okay. Oh yeah, an 8. Okay.
With reservations.
Who is voting against a national demo?
I'm between that and abstaining.
Don't worry, I'm going to do an abstention in a minute. And is anybody abstaining from?
Certainly, because I don't want to be the only one voting.
Right. Abstaining. What about those of you who did this? Well, okay.
I was doing that and I'm abstaining.
I think if anything, even though I did vote, if you have those positions, I do want to go through what I was saying and beneficial.
We need to find out, I think, more about student safety is our priority. Thank you, Lee, for flagging that up. But ultimately, I think that this open meeting has come out in favour of partaking in a national demo. I just wanted to let you all know that this isn't the end of consultation, but I wanted to have an open meeting so that people felt like their voices were heard.